Hi kids, I'm First Alert Chief Meteorologist Derek Beasley here to welcome you to School at the Zoo. WJZ and the Maryland Zoo have teamed up, and for the next half hour, we're taking over for the teachers to help you learn more about your world. Let's head over to our first lesson right now because it's going to be wild. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Marty Bass. This is Laura Newman with the Maryland Zoo at Baltimore, and we've got some friends with us. Can any of you tell us what conservation is? Laura, what is conservation?
So we love talking about conservation here at the zoo because our mission is protecting wild animals and wild places. And that's pretty much what conservation is making sure that we're keeping animals safe and that we're keeping their habitat safe too.
But why is it so important now, but for the future?
So the work that we do today with animals that exist in the world right now preserves these species, not just for our generation and for people that we know, but for our children and our grandchildren and way, way, way down the line. So it's something we're very passionate about here at the zoo.
Particularly when it comes to chimpanzees. Why are chimpanzees losing their homes, their habitat, and potentially their future?
Yeah, there's a few different answers to that. Deforestation is kind of the big science word for losing rainforests, having their trees cut down, and being pushed into areas that they don't usually live in, that they're not usually found in.
How many of you have cell phones? Show of hands. And therein lays the issue.
Yeah, so there is a mineral that's used in cell phones and lots of production of electronics that is mined in the rainforests of Africa, which is exactly where the chimpanzees live. So mining companies are going in and having to cut down huge numbers of trees of the rainforest in order to access that mineral that's deep underground to use for cell phones, laptops, different batteries, all kinds of different electronics. It's really interesting to think about that something so many of us have on us all the time could potentially be contributing to things like deforestation and losing the habitat, the place where animals like chimpanzees like to live.
What is their natural home?
So they love rainforests, kind of right in the center of the continent of Africa.
There's only going to be more cell phones, so what can we do right here, right now?
I'm so glad you asked because there's actually something really easy that everybody who has cell phones or portable electronics can do to help not just chimpanzees, but all sorts of animals that call the rainforest home. And that is recycling. You can recycle things like batteries and cell phones. That's a really important way that we can cut down on the demand for things like coltan that is mined in Africa and used in cell phones.
Okay, so it sounds so simple. We're going to recycle the battery from the cell phone. Walk us through it. What do you do?
It can be kind of complicated to figure out exactly how to do that on your own. But luckily, we here at the Maryland Zoo have partnered with an amazing company called EcoCell that helps us do things like recycle those cell phones and those batteries. So if you have something like a cell phone that you're not using anymore, you can just erase that, restore it to factory settings, and you can bring it to us here at the zoo. Now we have this small cell phone recycling box where you can drop off any unwanted electronics so that we can send them to EcoCell to be recycled, which is very, very cool. We also have a larger box inside the Chimp Forest building. So anytime you're planning a trip to the zoo, you can bring those unwanted electronics with you and drop them off, and we will take care of the rest.
Recycle.
Yes.
Everybody say it with me. On three. 1, 2, 3. Recycle. You did so good. I'm going to introduce you to some friends. Who wants to go see some chimps?
Me!
Me too. You too?
Absolutely.
Oh my god! Get the food! Get the food! Oh, get that big piece of lettuce! Hurry!
This is Zookeeper Kate,
Hi.
and Zookeeper Kate works with the giraffes. So behind us, we have Caesar. Caesar is a male giraffe. And he has been here as Zookeeper Kate for how long?
Oh, he's been here for a majority of his life. He is 16 years old, so like
Okay.
14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And behind Caesar over there is who?
Kessie.
Kessie. Is that Caesar's girlfriend?
Kind of. They get along pretty well, yeah.
Nice. You know that there are some things, obviously, that make us different than giraffes. Who has an idea? Give me one thing that makes giraffes different than us. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 4 legs. And their
Yeah.
you know about their tongue. He said that their tongues are purple. Their tongues curl.
Yeah,
So
it's
they have
true.
purple tongues and they curl. Is he right about that?
He is totally right. So yeah, their tongues are called prehensile, so they are able to grab things with it. And they use those long tongues to grab leaves from tall trees.
Giraffes and humans are alike in many ways too.
Yeah.
We're all mammals.
So yeah, humans and giraffes are both mammals, like you said. And because of that, they share a certain set of characteristics. So mammals are considered to be warm-blooded. They give live birth to their young, so they don't lay eggs like birds do. They also drink milk when they're young, and they have hair or fur. Even marine mammals like dolphins and whales have hair on them.
So you don't think of yourself as a mammal, do you? You don't say, "Hey, mammal, how you doing?" Like you said, they're born. They don't lay eggs. They're born like we are.
Yep.
But when they're born very big
They
and
are.
from very high up. Tell us about that.
Yeah, even when they're born, they are taller than most adult humans. Giraffe babies come out at about 6 feet tall, and they take the drop fully from a fully standing female giraffe.
So just
they,
like boom.
Yep, they fall quite a distance.
That's a hard way to start your life.
It is.
They don't need a lot of sleep either. Why don't they need sleep?
So yeah, giraffes usually live on about 2 hours of sleep a day. And most of that sleep they do while they're standing up, very
Okay.
much because of predators. It's dangerous for an adult giraffe to lay down. It's a
Okay.
lot of work for them to get down and back up.
Okay.
So most of the time they just take little short naps while they're standing. Sometimes they'll rest laying down, mostly when they're young. Here at the zoo, our giraffes do sleep when laying down because they know that they're safe. They don't have to worry about predators here.
Now let me see by your hands. Could you go to school if you only had 2 hours of sleep a night? No. You need at least 8 hours. You sure do, don't you? It seems like there are a lot of differences, but there are some things in common. We talked about that. Talk to us about what they eat.
Yeah, so giraffes eat a variety of things. Mostly they're considered browsers, so they eat a lot of leaves from trees. Here at the zoo, we feed them a lot of leaves as well, but they also will sometimes graze off of the grass. They eat hay, they'll eat some little snacks for produce and things like that.
Kind of their salad.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much they eat salad every day.
Every day, so they don't eat any meat. They're
Nope.
herbivores. So are we able to maybe feed a giraffe?
I think we can.
Can
Yeah,
we?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And will they eat out? I mean, we talked about those crazy long tongues. Do they just take it with their tongue? Do they nibble
Yep.
from your hand? What do you?
Yeah, so pretty much we'll go down there. We'll give our male some romaine lettuce.
Okay.
And I'll have you hold it out, and he'll grab it with his tongue and take it right from you.
Oh, great. Okay. So, who's ready to feed a giraffe? Hi, Caesar. There you are. Oh, boy.
There you go. Oh, yeah, hold it.
Oh,
There you
wow.
go. You can really see that tongue in action.
Now back to school at the zoo.
Hey guys, I am First Alert Meteorologist Abigail Degler, and I have 2 people here who want to talk to you about the animals behind me.
So, my friends, do you guys know how animals like to talk to each other?
Yeah.
What are some ways that animals might like to talk to each other? Body language, yeah, they like to show off. Some animals like to use sound, like a bat might use echolocation. That's what they use to talk to themselves a lot of times. Dolphins do the same thing. A sound goes out, it bounces back. It's like communicating with yourself. And some animals like peacocks, they have those huge feathers. That's a big way of body language and color, and they show off. And so animals have a lot of different ways of talking to each other.
Let's talk about the rhinos.
Well, rhinos communicate in a couple of different ways. Does anybody have a guess how they communicate? What do you think?
Language.
They do use language. How do you think they talk to each other? Do you think they make noises?
Yeah.
And when the rhinos are talking to each other, what do you notice about them? What do you notice about their ears? Their ears move around a lot and rotate, and they're pretty big, aren't they? They're much bigger than our ears, and their eyes are really pretty small. So what does that tell us? They don't see that well because their eyes are small, but they can hear really, really well, right, Anthony?
Yeah, they can hear super well. In fact, can anybody here wiggle their ears? No, I can't either.
I can.
You can? Yeah. So we have a little muscle that lets some of us wiggle our ears, but we don't use it anymore. Do you guys know what other animals use that muscle for?
Hearing?
For hearing. They use it to turn their ears around. So I actually have a fun game for you guys. Can you guys all face me? And then I want you guys to take your hands and cup your ears like this. And do I sound louder right now? Okay, now, if you guys do the opposite and you go like this, do I sound like I'm further away right now?
Yeah.
It's harder to hear me. So animals can rotate their ears to tell exactly where a sound is coming from. That's a great job, yeah. They actually listen. You can tell what a rhino is paying attention to because their ear will point to it. Kind of like a little satellite dish.
We talked about how rhinos are able to listen, one way that they receive signals. Do they receive signals any other way?
They do. They can also smell really well, and that is another way that they can talk to each other through chemical sense.
That's really interesting.
It is, and shall I tell everybody how they do that? Because I think you probably want to know. What kind of chemicals do they smell? So the way that they like to communicate is through their poop and their pee, which, ew, that sounds pretty gross. But it's a really good way for them to communicate to each other. So they actually have places where they all poop in the same spot, just like a cat might do with a cat litter box. They have a litter box, but we call it a midden. And that's where the rhinos will poop, and then they can visit the midden, and they can tell which other rhinos have been visiting and who else is in the area. So they know if there is any stranger danger, or maybe if there is somebody there that they know.
Thank you guys so much for learning about these zoo animals with us. All right, let's get going.
Now back to school at the zoo.
Hey everybody, and welcome here to the Maryland Zoo. I'm WJZ First Alert Meteorologist Steve Sosna.
And I'm Derek Beasley.
And we're here today to talk about penguins, climate, and how the two interact.
So we're going to talk a little bit about climate change and how it affects the animals.
Climate change is being driven by global warming. So there are gases that we have right now outside that you can't see or taste or smell, but they're warming the earth. They're called greenhouse gases because they trap the warmth from the sun at the ground, warming the temperature. The more greenhouse gases we have, like carbon dioxide, like methane, even water vapor, the warmer the temperature is here at the ground. What are some of the causes of climate change?
Carbon emissions. Since the industrial age, we've seen this incredible increase in the amount of carbon dioxide that's been released into the atmosphere. And of course, that's one of those things that helps contribute to the warming of the planet, which subsequently warms the sea surface temperatures. It also causes the ice to melt in the polar regions. Also, it's deforestation, like the Amazon down in South America. Plants, their primary role is to take the carbon dioxide and release it as oxygen in the atmosphere. But when you remove forests, rainforests and things like that, that's less in the atmosphere that can take that carbon dioxide in and release it back into the atmosphere.
So are we seeing climate change here in the state of Maryland? Yeah, we are, believe it or not. So not just at the poles or in South Africa, like these African Blackfoot penguins here, we're seeing it right here in the state of Maryland. So you may be wondering, well, how are we seeing climate change? Oh, snow days this year. That's almost unheard of. We had less than an inch of snow this winter. So our winters are warmer. Also, have you noticed your allergies? The allergies have been crazy. We had a peak in February of this year. Normally that's in March or April. Severe thunderstorms, we know about those. Severe thunderstorms with tornadoes. We are seeing higher amounts of tornadoes, confirmed tornadoes, not only during the spring and summer, but during the fall and winter months. We're talking about rising sea levels, right? So if you go to the eastern shore, Smith Island, we've seen that water come up. We've seen water come up across the eastern shore, and that's here in Maryland.
Jess, you're our resident expert here on penguins, and so can you tell us exactly how climate change has been affecting the animals here?
Yeah, I work directly with these penguins in South Africa and Namibia, and there's a couple of things that are really affecting. These birds are now endangered. There's less than 1% of the population from 100 years ago. We have a lot of the birds that end up getting overheating. Obviously, a lot of the time they want to get cool is by getting into the water, but chicks can't swim, so they'll overheat. There's also been a lot of flooding going on. So a lot of the colonies are island colonies that are just slightly above sea level. And because of the flooding, the sea level's rising, some of these chicks have been drowning, and so there's been pretty catastrophic for them. And the other main thing that climate change has affected these guys is their lack of food. So there's a large current that goes along the west coast of South Africa and Namibia called the Benguela Current. And the fish, the pelagic fish like sardines and pilchards, they like that cold water. But because the water is heating up, the current is dropped down, and there's less fish in the area, and also we're overfishing. But the penguins haven't figured out that these fish have moved. So a lot of them are starving to death. So it's a pretty sad state of affairs.
So what can we do, Jess, to help stop climate change, put an end to it?
Yeah, so a few things we can do. Firstly, one of the main things is recycling. So the more we reuse sources, and that we already have done, is less energy we're spending. So, saving on energy, trying to just, not use as many fossil fuels is a very important thing too.
So we've learned recycling, reducing our energy, and also just talking to each other about the climate is important. It's how we educate ourselves.
What we do here does affect these animals in the long run.
So yes, you can see how not only the climate change affects us, but it also affects the animals at the zoo. And we thank you very much for joining us today to tell us all about it.
Thank you.
Now back to School at the Zoo.
So I'm Iana, I'm with WJZ.
And I'm Stefan, I'm with WJZ as well. And welcome to School at the Zoo with WJZ. And this is Sharon, who works at the Maryland Zoo.
Hi.
She's gonna be our expert today.
Absolutely.
She's the smartest one over here, I promise. And Snake Eye, I expect you to have a lot of fun on this. It's gonna be really interesting, you're gonna love it.
It's gonna be fun. We're gonna examine, we're gonna be kind of like little scientists today. Okay, so I have a question for you. We need everybody to be involved. So do you guys know that chemical reactions happen every day, all around us?
Okay, that's good. Now, how does that relate to your body? You guys all eat food, you got a pretzel, right? You guys eat today? All right, so do you know that when your food goes in your body, it's doing a chemical reaction? What do you think that's called? Huh? Digest, there we go. We got digestion. So animals also do the same thing. Sharon, you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're animals too, right guys? So we all have to digest our food, but let me ask you this. Does everything that we eat get used up by our bodies? No. What happens to some of that food that we don't use up by our bodies? What happens?
What are you saying?
I think you know it. What is it?
Yeah.
What is it?
What is our friend?
Don't be embarrassed. Come on.
It's weird. He doesn't want to say it.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's not weird. We all do it, right?
What is it?
What is it?
There we go. That's the answer. Poop.
Got it. Absolutely.
It stinks.
Ready to
reveal?
Yeah. Ready to play a game.
Okay, we need a drum roll though.
Yeah.
We have a special game. We're going to reveal some things here.
Give me a drum roll.
Okay. All righty. 3.
Poop! Oh my God, yes, it says yay for the poop. Stinky.
But my friends, we have actual samples of animal poo from animals here at the zoo.
Well, first of all, what animal is this?
Otter.
It's an otter?
Okay.
Which one of these boxes do you think an otter is otter's poop?
Think about the size. Think about the shape. In water, maybe.
Maybe that one.
You think it's this one?
This one.
I'm with my little guy here. I think it might be this one. I don't know.
I think we should do elephant. Let's start a little bit on the easier side. Okay, so elephant, right? Which one do we think belongs to the elephant? I think so too. Sharon, what do you think? Are we correct on that one?
100% right, everybody. This is real elephant poo. Now, I'm touching it, which normally I would not encourage you to do, but this has been cleaned, okay? It was cleaned in a really special way, and then we shellacked it. So if anybody wants to touch this one, you are welcome.
He's like, I've got to put down the pretzel and touch the
You are
poop.
welcome to do so. This one has been, this is clean and sealed, okay? So you are welcome to touch this particular one.
What do you think they
if
eat?
you would like to do so.
What do you think? That was a good one.
A lot of grass.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Let's go into these. What do you think?
Ooh, these are some good ones. Oh, a cat?
No. The full cat.
All right.
Go.
Oh, I see someone who has made a really good. Now, what do you think that one?
Almost all cats poop like that.
Oh,
That was gonna be my answer too.
Really? I love that.
Zebra.
I love it. You are using a really good hypothesis there. I
This one
love your
here?
scientific thinking.
I picked that.
You are absolutely correct. This is the bottom
Okay.
tattoo. Well done. So here's one of the ones that we have left, okay? So everybody can see this one. All right. And the other one that we're looking at is this one, okay?
So maybe we need to look at some of these textures inside, right? Do I see some sand?
This one.
I think that she's got some good observations.
And I see a little, it seems
This one.
seems wet.
And it does seem a little wet. So we've got some good observations.
So which one is a little wet?
So you think the otter is for this one?
No, yes.
So for this one, which one do you think it is? How many think it's the otter?
Yeah.
Raise your hand. And how many think it's the ostrich?
Hey, so we might have to break the split decision.
I think it's the otter. It does kind of look like sand.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's red.
Yeah.
And it's wet. All right, friends, you know what? This is river otter poo.
Oh my goodness.
We got it.
Is that the one you said is the most smelly?
This one.
Oh man.
And then you got it. This is the ostrich poo.
Good stuff. Good job, guys.
Give yourself a hand. Very good stuff.
Good job. You did really good, buddy.
We've learned a whole lot today, and I hope you enjoyed every minute of it. For WJZ and the Maryland Zoo, I'm Derek Beasley. Thank you for joining us for School at the Zoo, and we'll see you next year.